The following disclaimer applies for this video. This track is legendary, and this Australian can barely pronounce English names and terms, so brace yourselves for some mispronounced and completely butchered corner names in the upcoming video. No disrespect intended, but go ahead and laugh. G'day race fans, it's time for week 12 of a 13-week season, and this time the Sandgroper Sim Racing Porsche Carrera Cup Championship visits the king of racetracks, Spa-Francorchamps tracks. Located in the vicinity of the town of Francorchamps, you now have an understanding of its name as it's not located in Spa. A historic venue, it first hosted a Grand Prix way back in 1925 and has only missed hosting in 1984, 2003 and 2006 since the 1983 Grand Prix. It's a mainstay on the schedule. In 1979, the track underwent its most radical change from the 14.1 kilometre monster that wound its way through the countryside and several towns. Cars would fly, sometimes literally, around the track in between houses next to the circuit. In 1979 it reduced to 6.95 kilometres and stopped being a public road course and turned into a permanent circuit due to safety concerns, but still retained several of its iconic corners. Blanchiment, Bus Stop, La Source, Erouge, Radillion and L'Écume are some of the most well-known corners in the racing world for good reason, and in the new corners of Rivrage and Poulon, this track has always destined for greatness. This week's qualifying report is brought to you by corporate bailouts. No matter how many times the government tells you they can't fund education and health, they can always find money to bail out companies to help pad the CEO bonuses. Corporate bailouts. Just remember, it isn't Social Security when a corporation receives it. Qualifying saw Trevor Leonard dominate with an amazing 2 minutes 22.066 seconds. However, the rest of the qualifying showed how the race would go with close spreads the whole way down the field. Watson, Cooper and Doyle closed out the top two rows with only .057 separating them. In fact, there was only 0.236 separating second to sixth. With Spa's draft, this would keep the field incredibly tight. We did have a newcomer to the series in John O'Malley who had a shaky start, but it's always good to see new faces, and as some encouragement, John, we visited Spa in our test events and everyone has improved dramatically over a full season of running these testy little rear engine beasties. And here we see the largest field to date for the Sandgroper Sim Racing community, with 18 drivers taking the grid. They wait patiently for the green lights to show, and they are away. The field gets away cleanly with Lewis Parring getting a great jump from row 3. Leonard moves across to cover Watson, and it's shaping up to the standard iRacing start into La Source. However, as usual, the Sandgroper members prove that patience and respect go a long way to an enjoyable race. Leonard must have had an issue in La Source as Parring made a clean jump first, heading down to iRacing as the field started to organise themselves single file before taking the great corner for the first time. We go back to the start here and look at it from Parrin's point of view, and we can see him take advantage of a napping Cooper on the line and get a great launch down the middle. And it's here we see a very slippery Leonard nearly loop it around in front of the whole field, which let everyone compress up. This caused Watson to take a slightly wider line than normal, providing room for what was to come. Back to Kemmel Straight, lap 1, and the top 3 start playing the break win or die game, heading into L'Écume for the first time. Leonard takes advantage to put himself back into first position and was never troubled from this point forward. Don't worry Trev, the field is improving. Lap 1 wasn't totally incident-free as we look a little further down the field to see Luke Keamy lock up the rears in the L'Écume and become a passenger as he slides it through corner entry, somehow missing everyone, as Bailey shoots across in front of him. We are witnessing a turning point here at the front, as the end of lap 3 we saw Aaron Cooper had to pit for fuel after his pit crew forgot to refill the tank for the race. It was not the first team to do it, and it won't be the last this season. This mistake put Aaron at the rear of the field. Good thing he locked up second overall last week. Lap 3 also saw this battle group of Michael Neate, Jason Gilholm and relative newcomer Vincent Santucci, as well as Josh Doyle heading into L'Écume. Santucci got a run on Gilholm down Kemmel, but overshot the corner entry, getting all 4 corners off the racing surface. A little bit of a clumsy re-entry caused contact with Jace Gilholm, sending him off into the wall. This wasn't the end of it. Red mist affected Gilholm, then had a clumsy re-entry of his own, leaving poor Alexander Newton nowhere to go. Not the best of sequences there, and I'm sure the stewards will be encouraging people to reread the general racing standards outlined in the rules and regulations before the next race. As mentioned, there was some great racing down the field as we see Matthews with Reed taking the draft down Kemmel to head into L'Écume. Matthews had a pretty solid line, but Sean Reed got through on a nice putt. No, Matthews fought back, forcing it too wide, and the two drivers made it very clean going through the S's. Coming around the final corner to head down to Rivage, and Sean gets a little bit of a love tap from Pete Matthews, nothing nasty there, and they go too wide into Rivage once more. You'll also notice Cookie was right there in the action as Pete Matthews hangs it wide. Sean Reed cuts it nice and fine, and a great way to get through those corners, fellas, nice and clean. This group of Perrin, Santucci and Watson ended up battling for the final positions as we enter the final lap and things got hectic. Heading into A Rouge, we see Perrin struggling here as he did all race. Watson mistimed the run and was forced wide a bit too early, losing momentum on the slipstream needed to fully make the pass down Kemmel. Perrin broke late, so Watson took a wide line to set himself up for the second part of Les Combes. Perrin pushed wide, putting Watson in the dirt and giving Santucci wide eyes and a glimmer of hope. Santucci pushed it under the exit, but Watson had momentum to shut the door heading into Rivage. This is where Perrin also went wide once again. Room was given between the through, slowing the group down and bringing Neat and Doyle back into the mix once more. We jump ahead in the lap to the entry into the bus stop as drivers took their line, some defences, others confident, and we watch Santucci lose it with the locking up the rears on the last corner while trying to talk to his crew chief. One mistake, last corner, 3 spots. Very tight racing there for the end of the race. Trevor Leonard once more showed a very dominant display with a 0-incident victory, reinforcing why he has ran away with the season with a near-perfect display. Other 0-incident achievements were set by Daniel Bailey and Jasmine Beach, both taking the 5-point bonus. As per the nature of Spa, 5 drivers took the negative 2-point penalty for 10 incident points. No embarrassment there, as Spa is pretty severe on off-tracks. So Leonard took the win, with Perrin having his best result this season in second and Watson filling out the podium. Neat and Doyle were separated by half a second and finished right behind Watson. There was a great battle groups all the way down the field, and Pete Matthews managed to climb to 9th position after failing to put in a qualification time. Newcomer John O'Malley finished a lap down but still finished, and we hope to see him at the final round of the season. The season is pretty much over with only Okayama to go. Cooper is now locked in 2nd position, but 3rd is wide open with only 4 points separating Watson and Cook. Neat and Perrin jumped Gilhome, which puts those 3 head-to-head going into the final round. Matthews has closed on Bailey and will need a good finish to overtake him in the final round. Josh Doyle will fill out his 9-race requirement at Okayama and should be exceptionally close to jumping both Bailey and Matthews depending on his finishing position. The only other main question is, will Jasmine beat Smallcombe with the stick of consistency and take the position off Smallcombe? So for the final round, we head to Okayama and visit one of our mini-season testing events. It'll be great to see how many people have improved at this slippery little track. Can we get 20 drivers? Can Matthews gain some bonus points for the first time this season? I guess we'll find out as we close out a very promising first season at the Sandgroper Sim Racing Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. See you all there.